Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, aka the Bod Father, and as always, I'm bringing you guys awesome interviews. And today is an honor and privilege to have the former bassist of Mudvayne on my show. We'll be talking to him about his new band called Soften the Glare. He's also been a part of Korn for a stint moment, and also, like I said earlier, he's been part of Mudvayne. I'm going to be talking to him about Soften the Glare's new debut album called Making Faces. This is an instrumental album which features jazz rock and with elements of metal, funk, prog, and a touch of chaos. And plus, I have a new co-host filling in for right now, Miss Crystal Flannery. Crystal, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing awesome. Ryan, how you doing, my man?
I'm good. Just enjoying the morning, sipping coffee, watching my dog snooze.
That's awesome. So let's jump right into this, man. What's impressed you the most about making the debut album from you guys called Making Faces? What's caught your eye the most about it, if any, man?
It's kind of a long story that I'll try to nutshell for you. You know, meeting guys, my drummer and Mitch Hull and my guitar player, Bon Lazaga, that's where the story begins. And it took us a while to kind of figure out our musical space together and what that was going to be and what really worked for us individually and then together as a group. So this is several years in the making for us, and it's been a real privilege to work with them and to watch the personalities emerge inside the songs and then inside of our friendships as well. Watching that kind of grow has been really awesome. Obviously writing the songs together has been inspiring and a lot of fun. And then, adding Jamie King into the mix, who some of the listeners may recognize from Between the Buried and Me. He's done all their records with them and his family with them, essentially. And he's family with our drummer. They've known each other for a really, really long time. And so when we got hooked up with Jamie, that was really exciting too. And, I consider him a friend and brother now. We've had a great time working on the songs with him, and he brings a really great energy to it. So all in all, the buildup of it all, the watching it come together, watching us grow together, and then adding kind of a fourth guy to the team, that being Jamie, to it, really kind of sealed the deal for me. I'm super thrilled to share with everyone what we've been up to, show everyone that we're not afraid to step out of our own boxes, really. Mm-hmm. There's you rattle off a list of things that we could be, but there's a whole bunch of other things. There are bits of chicken picking in there that Bon is more than proficient at, and fun things like that come up. I played concert bells and tambourines and claps and all kinds of things are going to show up on this record. So we have a good time making it together, and I think that's really part of the whole ethos of what we're about.
That's pretty awesome. So you guys are all over the realm of music there. That's pretty damn cool, man.
We like everything.
Yeah.
I like everything that makes me move in some way or moves me in some way. We're all fans, and we come from different genres, different listening backgrounds in some ways, and then there are a lot of ways where our tastes merge, and we find ourselves exploring all those territories. So once again, to use the word ethos, that's really connected to what we're doing is exploration, and not in a hippy dippy kind of sense, but more in a musical sense of let's see where this takes us. Let's indulge our every bone. If we want to go metal, we go metal. If there's a riff that comes up and it sounds country, we go country. So it's really being comfortable and cozy with each other about those things, and not prejudging things as they come out. As those things emerge, as you make things up together, you don't immediately tear it down before you've even tried to build it up. So that's a part of that whole thing. Exploratory aspect of it is really important to us, I think.
Why did you guys decide to go the independent route and do a campaign instead of going with something more major?
Well, this is we heard about some different artists that were doing this. I've been a part of a major label. We don't have any problem with what major or labels do, small or large. But nobody's beating down our door, and we weren't trying to really market ourselves in that way. This is really, we try to make this kind of a grassroots thing, where if it gained some notoriety, we wanted it to gain it on its own, and not to. Hopefully, that means that it was made by the people who are interested in it. Also, not just us. They have an opportunity to participate. That's a pretty cool aspect of it too. With this route, people get to participate in some way. It's really their funding that's paying for Jamie to sit there with us all day and to make the songs. So there's a real involvement there that I think that goes away when you start getting in bed with the major labels. They want to have the control of it because they're the ones putting up the cash. So
right.
It only makes sense. But for us, I think we wanted to do things our way and then make the people feel like they were part of that. So that, this kind of campaign provided that kind of opportunity for us to fill those kind of wishes. Would we go with the label? Certainly, if it was the right situation. But I wouldn't want to have some of those things that we're really happy with, like the fans, being a part of it. I wouldn't want those things to go away, even if we did choose to go that route, or we're lucky enough to have someone, pick up what we're doing and see that it had some value.
Yeah, and you got a lot of bands that are actually doing the same thing you're doing, Ryan. I mean, they are going the independent route. They're not wanting to do the label thing, and I think a lot more bands are going to be doing that here. Yeah,
it's pretty amazing, the list of people that are going that direction. Like Opus and wow, there are a lot of bands that are doing this and getting good response. Mm-hmm. And then it also provides an interesting opportunity for the kind of internet celebrity kind of bands, those that you've never heard of and that don't have any kind of notoriety from their history, all of a sudden, because they have a vast group of people that are into what they're doing, they get to make records and self-fund it and do their thing the way that they want to do it. And I think that's a really cool thing. That's a nice change of pace from the kind of old school way of, we give you some money, but you got to do it our way. And you need to stick to this kind of protocol in order to keep us appeased. And we're going to take 85%.
Wow.
So, those traditional deals, they're becoming less common. And the internet has made that possible for a lot of people. You can reach people all across the world in the blink of an eye. And so these campaigns to do this are important for not just people who have notoriety, but those that don't, and that could really spark some interest in whatever artistic endeavor that they're delving into.
Yeah, one of bands that me and Crystal like, The Darkest Hour, they just did this, and surprisingly, I know you've heard of this band, Ryan, when I mentioned them, God Forbid. Doc Coyle, his new band, his new band, that's what he's doing. They're doing a Kickstarter and a campaign, so I think it's pretty badass, man, what you guys are doing for this stuff.
Cool, man. I'm really happy, like I said, for all the artists that are able to take advantage of, and to not take advantage in the derogatory sense, but really utilize the technology, the blink of an eye access to the world at large, that this new way of doing things can provide for them. I think this is an exciting new time for music, for musicians, for fans like myself. I didn't know, and now I can go pledge some money to see somebody's record get done and participate. So now I do.
Here's something that's cool too for the folks that don't understand what we're talking about. When these bands do these campaigns, yes, it's initial for them to get an album going and stuff and record it. But the cool part about this, folks, is that as a fan, you're going to get kickbacks from this. So they've got all kinds of stuff that you can go in there and say, okay, I'll pledge $25. Guess what? You'll get a set list signed, or you'll get a CD signed. That's badass, man, to come back to a fan.
Yeah, that's one of the things that drew us to it. It's a pretty awesome opportunity to be tied directly to the band. You don't have to only have their music. You can get some signed things and some more personal things on there, and that's the only way you get that. That's the cool thing about these pledge campaigns, is that it provides access for those who are willing to, put their money where their mouth is and say, hey, I like this. I support these guys. I want the record, but I want a poster too. And what I give to them helps them make their product.
Yep.
So they are directly connected with the outcome, period. It is not an indirect. It is direct. The money that goes on there, we could show the breakdown of where the money will go to. And most of that's going to go to take care of Jamie for spending so much time with us recording it. But, it's a serious connection to the band if people want that. People who just want to, buy it, cool, awesome. But for those who want a little bit more personal aspect and get a little closer to us that way, see what we're really about, maybe even as people. Not that matters as much, but certainly there's some other things going on there besides just, hey, check out our song.
Ryan, any songs off the Making Faces album that stand out more to you than any on it, if possible?
Oh, man. There are a couple things on there. There's a song called March of the Cephalopods that's kind of a fun romp. Bon wrote that original riff, and it's just spidery and very eight-legged. Yeah, and so it got that moniker. So that one's a lot of fun and fast. And there are some things on there. There's some funk stuff on there that's a lot of fun. Funky Lady's a good time, and she feels right to listen to. So I hope people really embrace the differences between the songs, and like I said earlier about the exploratory aspect of what we're doing. I hope that's something that resonates with people, because we're not trying to stick to one thing. We're not one genre. We're not metal. We're not rock. We're not anything. We're just some guys who really enjoyed each other's company and started writing some songs together, and then decided that we wanted to do a little bit more. So it was kind of serendipity that made it all happen.
What helps you keep your mind open to music that you maybe wouldn't be otherwise?
That's a good question. I've made mistakes in the past where I was one of those people that would I could be closed off to things, and mainly because everybody else likes something so much. I use the example of Nirvana back in the day. It was something that they came out, and then all of a sudden everybody just loved it so much that I just couldn't get behind it. I'm like, screw you, this shit sucks, I'm into this other thing.
Yeah.
Well, of course, then later on, I find I drop that BS and give it a real listen, and you hear things like Heart-Shaped Box, and you're just mesmerized, and you really hear what was going on there instead of closing yourself off. So how do you do that? I don't know. That's a hard question to answer. I'm interested in everything. I have a curiosity about stuff that I just won't allow to be shut off. The very, very cool musician and artist Graham Nash from Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, he has a quote in a book called Wisdom. He said, "I'm curious about everything." And I want to embrace that way of thinking. I want to maintain my curiosity. I hope that the world hasn't beaten that out of me yet, that I'm not just kind of trudging through life going, oh, ho hum, I'm making some songs and, poor me kind of attitude.
Yeah.
And life sucks and the world's going to hell in a handbasket kind of attitude. Instead, I'd like to keep my curiosity, because there's so much stuff going on. There's an awesome site called phys.org. Go check it out. It's what the scientific community is doing. It's all the studies. And obviously, you got to take things with a grain of salt. But if you want to know what's being researched, how we're pushing forward, for me, that's one of the things that I do to keep myself interested and to keep my curiosity piqued about the world around me, is I try to expose myself to things that I don't know a whole lot about, or that I'm trying to stay current with what's going on, whether it's in robotics or genetics research or whatever that is. I want to try to not let that pass me by. There's so much that happens in our lives that just kind of goes by, and we let it, and that's fine too. Absolutely a part of that. But how do you keep your interest? Search. Keep your curiosity piqued by stuff that's new and interesting, and don't shut yourself off from it. As a musician, quote unquote musician, it's kind of my job to not shut myself down to those things. I may not be a massive fan of the persona of Kanye, but he's a serious artist, and the music's fun as hell. So, you got to break your own thoughts about things, not get caught up in judging stuff immediately, or judging artists based upon their personas that they've put out there. Certainly, people probably had some issues with some of the stuff that was, said or alleged about Michael Jackson.
Oh yeah.
But can you still listen to Billie Jean?
Yes, sir.
Do you still want to hear Thriller?
Yep.
Absolutely. So, not making judgments, exposing yourself to new stuff,
Keeping
and
an
not
open
closing
mind.
yourself off to. What's that? I'm sorry?
Keeping an open mind.
Yeah. I try the best that I can. It's super important in every aspect of your life, I think, in your relationships with your friends or lovers or, family. You got to keep an open mind, because I'm not one of those people that has bought into this idea that things don't change and people don't change. I think people and things change constantly. If there's one thing that you can say about the world around you that is consistent throughout history, it is things change. So, and recognizing that, realizing that, and then not trying to judge it for changing. Oh, everybody was so pissed off about Kiss taking their makeup off. Oh man, what was that about? Well, that was a change.
Yep.
And now here they are, still, decades later, still killing it and still doing cool stuff, and have a legacy that is intact and strong, and they're a part of the overall community of musicians and the world of music that you just simply can't deny that stuff. So, when people make a change, it's hard. I want to judge things too. I want to, try to put things in boxes and label them as this or that, good or bad, or right thing is off. But I owe it to myself to not be closed off. I'd be missing out, just like I did with Nirvana back in the day, only to find out later that it was just my closed-mindedness I was only hurting myself.
Ryan, do you think that Soften the Glare will add a singer eventually? Because I know this is instrumental for now, but are you guys wanting to possibly add a singer to this down the road, maybe?
What's been talked about is actually having either a percussionist, someone who's pretty handy with Latin stuff, would be a lot of fun. Having somebody who could program or quote unquote DJ, do those things, that'd be super cool. We're really open to things, but it'd have to be the right situation with the right person. Mm-hmm. We're really happy working with each other. And one of the things about being in a band that anybody who's ever tried it knows, it's pretty tough to come to, some, the meeting of the minds. It's hard when you have differing personalities, and sometimes that's what makes the music work, but it's sometimes what causes a lot of conflict. And so bringing someone else into our camp, it would have to be the right person who was, had the right stuff. And it doesn't even mean that they would, have to be the most talented, or it has to be that they fit with us. I think that's super, super important. And it's not something that you can just go choose and try somebody out for, put an ad out and say, Soften the Glare looking for a singer. Well, what does that really mean? Well, for me, the first thing that means is that we get on, that we can have a conversation and enjoy each other's company. Because without that, man, I don't need my life to become more complicated by crappy personalities, or big conflicts inside of something that I love. I love making music. I'm so fortunate that that's a part of my life, and I don't need to foul up the waters with somebody who isn't there with me. So it would have to be that. To answer in the long way, sure, but probably not. We're pretty content with what we do, and we're not trying to, we know we haven't reinvented the wheel here, and so we don't have any aspirations of selling, hundreds of millions of records or being the next pop sensation. We're all too old for that kind of truck, but certainly we're having a good time. And if somebody wanted to pitch in and have a good time with us and have the right skills to fit it, it'd be super fun.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
What do you personally hope that your fans take away from the new album?
Well, I hope that they take I don't know, take away from it. That's a hard question to answer. Once again, take away from it. Yeah, I hope that they enjoy. I hope that they feel a certain kinship to it. I hope that they feel that it's like them, that it's varied, that it is different around every corner, just like our lives can be, just like our thought processes can be, just like our relationships shift. I hope they feel a certain kinship with it in that way. I hope that it makes them smile in some places and makes them dance in others. I hope that they can get out some frustration with certain parts, that that it feels great driving down the road, exceeding the speed limit, and making and blistering your drums. I think that's awesome too. So really, I hope that people just feel a closeness to it that resonates with them. And that'd be, if somebody said that's what they felt for it, I'd be over the moon.
I know you guys have been out on the road with Soften the Glare, but I want to know, in your own opinion, man, and plus maybe for the other guys, what can fans expect on a show from Soften the Glare once they come out to see you all?
Well, it's a 3-piece, so in that way it's kind of stark. You're going to hear what everybody's doing, good and bad, all of my wrong notes, all of my mistakes, all of our, kind of improvising on our own themes, inside of it. You don't expect to hear exact performances. There are bands out there that do that wonderfully, but we're not those guys. We're not punk rock, but there's a little bit of punk rock in us about it, that we're not trying to adhere to a specific standard, and not even our own. Each show is kind of its individual vibe. It's not a metal show with pits and bloody noses and broken arms, and it's not a total sit down experience either. It's got a rock vibe, and in that, I think that there's it's relative to a lot of stuff that people would go out and hopefully enjoy. So we've done both those. We've had people try to mosh during the songs, and then we've had play for people totally seated, and we'll take both. It's super fun. The one is a little bit more interactive, and one is a little bit more contemplative, I guess. But any which way, it's a rock band. It's pretty stark. They're just the three of us up there doing it. And since there's no hot young singer, male or female, up there to look at, it's just us dudes getting it. It's a real thing. There's no backing track. There's nothing happening there that's unreal or unrealistic for other musicians to perform or to play. And that's not to say that there aren't some cool things happening that might press some musicians into some corners that they might enjoy. It's a 3-piece rock band that hopefully gets your feet moving.
Do you prefer the digital era of recording albums, or do you guys prefer to be in the studio working with each other on the song?
I mean, I think it's not a one or the other for me. We take advantage of both. To throw ideas, new riffs out at each other. We have lives that are outside of the music we make together and being a band. So, when we don't have time to get together, we throw riffs and throw ideas out at each other, whether that's concept things or song titles or just straight musical things. So certainly that's a good way to get things jump started, and I would highly recommend that to those who have not got their toes wet. But as far as, recording goes, that's going to be done together. When we recorded this record, we sat and sat with the drums were all played with myself and Bon in the room. So there were live performances captured to get that vibe, to get the feel, to get to capture that real essence of a band playing together. And then we'll go back in and get clean everything up, and then do the overdubs, the bass and guitars and stuff. But you want to get that live playing together feel. So when you get that, when you're building that substrate, that rhythm, that's going on, we wanted that you got to start with something that's real, that's almost tangible, in the beat, in the feel of the song. That was really important to us. So, like I said, it's not a one or the other kind of situation. It's, well, this works for us right now. Let's do this. Let's share ideas. Let's get in there and then make it feel good by being a band together. So we, through this process, we utilize both of those things.
I know you said that Soften the Glare is all over the place for music, and that's awesome. But Ryan, in your own opinion, man, what does Soften the Glare bring to the table for music that's not out there right now, possibly?
Boy, I don't know. That's really not for me to decide. I think that's really, you're asking me, but it is more about, I think that's up to the people who hear it. I don't think of it in those terms. What is it bringing? That's not my approach. So it's I don't have an answer for you there. I think that's really up to the fans to decide and to feel out for themselves. There's a musical honesty there that I can absolutely attest to. We enjoy those parts. We enjoyed writing them. We had a great time. We were, cackling when we come up with something completely ludicrous, or when somebody does some crazy fill somewhere, So I hope that fun and that not too serious, but seriously want to have a good time with it, it gets across to people. What does it bring? I don't know. That's for everybody else to decide.
This is my favorite question. What initially made you want to become a musician?
Oh, I don't know. The sound of my mother's heartbeat in the womb. I don't know. Where does it really start with us? As creatures. Why do these things, vibrations? Why does that work for us? That's the $152 billion question. Why do we like music as a species? Mm-hmm. It's a great question, and it's not one that I have an exact answer for. But for me, I grew up with some cool instruments around me. My father played guitar. My grandmother's played piano. My grandfather, directed the choir and played horns, and there was a cornet that I picked up when I was a youngin'. So having things around you, just being able to be exposed to them, is a good place to start. As far as why, why to make music for other people, and why not? A lot of other jobs seem a whole lot of suck.
Yes,
and
sir.
A whole lot of I got a whole lot of have to do stuff to pay the bills.
Yes, sir.
And thank goodness for people who are willing to step up to the plate and do all the things. I've had to plug holes in between tour and stuff by working with my hands. And there's something to be said for, at the end of the day, putting a roof over somebody's head and it doesn't leak. So, but do I want to be up there in the middle of winter with 20-mile-an-hour wind, putting metal roof on? Not really. It's tough work. I'd rather be sitting in my studio room, trying to charm and flatter my own ear with some bits and pieces from different instruments. So, us as musicians, we get to somewhat escape, some of the doldrums that life, dishes out to us. I don't have to do that stuff all the time. So we're very fortunate in the drive to not do a job that sucks it's pretty high. So some people want to do a job, want to go to school and to help escape that, or try to find their place in the world and get an education that will provide them that kind of way out of doing those sucky jobs. My way was to make music. I didn't know how to do anything else that was more meaningful for me. I love listening. I love playing. I love the type of people that I get to be surrounded by. Well, most of them. But we're very fortunate in life to be able to share with people, and if someone likes what you do, then that's just the icing on the cake. And if you can make a living from it, and thank your lucky stars.
I know you guys got this when you were in Mudvayne, and plus I'm sure you're getting it now when you're in Soften the Glare, but what's it mean to you when you receive an email from a fan, or prior to your shows or after your shows, they come up and tell you, say, hey, look, man, your music has helped me through a bad experience or tough time. It's gave me inspiration to overcome obstacles or just to relax when listening to your music and get away from the everyday bullshit. What does that mean to you personally?
That's kind of everything,
Yeah.
There's not getting into it. Like I said, there's not an exact goal here, other than to enjoy my life, enjoy our lives together. And when you get feedback from other people that they get to participate in that enjoyment in life, that they got to either escape or, I've heard some pretty extraordinary things from folks, from I was in a coma and they played Mudvayne and I woke up because you were my favorite band.
Wow.
So, I've heard those words spoken to me, and, it's inspiring. It's incredible what people do for themselves and through music. My life has been positively impacted by my involvement in listening to music also. So I'm a fan. I'm not just somebody who makes it. I listen,
Yes, sir.
So is it important to me? Yeah, I get that. I seriously get it. I've found myself weeping several times this year, over losses that we've had in the music community. So, because they changed my life. Mm-hmm. Listening and being a fan and absorbing that goodness that they put out there is just about as good as it gets, man.
Making Faces, when can we expect the release date for this, Ryan?
We were looking in February, sorry, March. So that's what we were telling everybody, and that's what we're shooting for. It just kind of depends on, we may lengthen the campaign a little bit to hopefully get some more people to pledge, because that is really, really important. Like I said, it is the people who are pledging are funding this. Mm-hmm. So we may extend the campaign a little bit, but we'd hope to get it out to everybody in March. That's the goal, anyway.
I just like to say, as a fan of Mudvayne and plus Soften the Glare, watching you play bass and listen to the music, Mudvayne gets my blood pumping, man. And plus what you guys are doing from Soften the Glare, it's all over the place. And I think it's really, really awesome. And congratulations for everything, man.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you for taking the time today to have a chat. I really appreciate it. And, all this does help us, create more stuff for everybody, and lets us be a part of it all, and lets everybody else be a part of it too. So thanks again. I appreciate it.
I love you. I actually got to see you guys a couple of months ago, and I'm kind of sad that I didn't, go on my way to say hello to you and meet you and stuff.
Oh, well, you should have. That's a part of it too. We're pretty approachable dudes, and if you saw us, then saw that it would have been pretty easy to get to us. We're putting up our own gear and tearing down our own gear and doing it the old school way. So we're very, very readily accessible to people who want to just come and say hello. And not everybody's perfectly comfortable doing so, but it's always a privilege to meet the people who are have been impacted by what you're doing. That's seriously what it's about in some ways. meeting those people, seeing what's up with them. You know, everybody's got a story to tell, and we're telling it through our music, but it's nice to hear that people are interested in it and that you enjoyed it. And next time, come and say hello, please.
I definitely will.
Ryan, how can people stay in touch with you guys? Buy some merchandise, pick up the new album when it comes out and everything. How can people stay in touch with you guys, man? Tour dates, everything.
Facebook. Yeah. Soft and Glare. Facebook would be probably the best, and that is us. That's not somebody managing it. That really is. Bond does go on there and takes care of posting things. I'm not the social media guy. I've tried to stay out of the fray. I tend to be a bit of a private person, but certainly that is the way to keep up with what's going on with us and, find out where we're playing and what we're up to. So, yeah, check out Soften the Glare on Facebook.
Before I let you go, good sir, will you care to do a promo for my show?
Yeah, man, of course. Hey, this is Ryan Martinie from Soften the Glare and Mudvayne, and you are listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great music coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and Uber City Radio. For my co-host,
Crystal.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in, and we really appreciate it. Thanks, Ryan, so much, man.
Thank you. Thank you guys very much for taking the time this morning. Appreciate you.